Let's talk about vocabulary, and more specifically, how on earth are we going to learn all the vocabulary we need? Now, I've said before in some other videos that in the method I'm using during this 100-day Russian challenge, my key steps are basic overview of the language, very basic, very high level overview. You need to get that first, just very basic. Learn good pronunciation, as good as you can at this stage. So you want to get to an acceptable level of pronunciation so that when you pronounce words, native speakers can understand them. Then vocabulary and then grammar. So, it's one thing to say, okay, you've got a good overview of the language. I've done basic research into it. I know where the main problems lie, where the main issues are going to lie. I've learned the alphabet, obviously, and I've been working quite a bit on my pronunciation, so it's acceptable. We'll say it's acceptable at this point. It's not brilliant, but it gets the job done for now. This is something you can continue to work on an ongoing basis. You're always going to be working on your pronunciation. I've already started learning sentences. I've talked about that in other videos too, that the main way to learn to speak the language is by speaking it. Now at the beginning you can't speak it, you don't know anything. So you speak sentences which you know are correct, and you read the translation of those sentences, and you start to put together, you start to learn the basic words. So we start with, we can create the sentences ourselves, or these days you can get sentences quite easily, either from YouTube or you can buy them. Like I have a pack of sentences, 2 packs actually, oh no, 3 packs, that I bought from Christina of Boost Your Russian. Check out her channel, it's a great channel. Got loads and loads and loads of simple sentences, intermediate sentences, simple stories, which themselves consist of basic and useful sentences. So anyway, she sells, from her website, packs of sentences, packs of 500 sentences. So 500 beginner sentences for everyday conversation, 500 intermediate sentences. And then there's another one, it's not advanced, it's something else. But anyway, I've been using those, they're very cheap. I highly recommend them because you get a PDF, you get recording, audio recording, different kinds of audio recording. Her saying them slowly, her saying them more quickly, and one where she says them both slowly and quickly. Perfect. You just pop them in your phone or your MP3 player and off you go. So basically that's how I've been learning my vocabulary. And also the textbook. I do use a couple textbooks. As I've said in other videos, I'm a big fan of structured learning too. You should have some sort of structure. So while I like learning vocabulary and grammar implicitly through these sentences, I think it's also good to have the structure of a course. When you combine them in a sort of healthy way, then I think, to me, at least when I do it, it really turbocharges your learning. It goes much faster. They kind of a compounding effect on each other. So formal learning on your own. I don't recommend taking a class, by the way. You can get a textbook. There are several good textbooks which are perfectly good for self-learners, such as Doroga v Rossiyu, that's one I use. There's Russian in Exercises. I've showed that in another video. I have both in the English version and French version of that. The French version comes with audio. Doesn't matter that it's for French speakers, the audio is just in Russian. That's all you need. And I also use the original Penguin Russian course. There's also the new Penguin Russian course. I prefer the old one because I'm old school, and I think there's just more information in it. It takes you through. On the other hand, it's also it uses a lot of linguistics, terminology, and jargon. So if that puts you off, maybe you get something like the new Penguin or the Teach Yourself course. In any case, so we have these sources for vocabulary. We have the sentences, we have these textbooks, and personally, I don't really like studying lists of vocabulary. What I prefer to do is I prefer to read. Typically a textbook will have like a small text. It depends how it's laid out, but typically it'll have like a small text, like a little dialogue or a small text. then that you read with a translation. Then it will have a list of vocabulary that you need to understand this text, and then it will have some exercises of different kinds. For me, the only useful exercises are ones where it says, translate this Russian sentence into English and translate this English sentence into Russian. Especially the latter, translate this English sentence into Russian. That's what will really make sure, when you can do that, you know something. So, those are other exercises like doing crosswords or filling in missing letters. I wouldn't bother with that kind of thing. I also wouldn't bother with handwriting the exercises. I mean, I think it's good to do it. I want to learn to write in Russian, but if you are trying to learn to speak and you're trying to do it as quickly as possible, like I am with this challenge, then you can't do everything. So for now, I'm not bothering with writing. In any case, so to get back to the vocabulary, yes. So I prefer personally to learn kind of in this multi-overlapping fashion with what I see in the textbook, with what I hear and see written from the sentences, which I've got off from Boost Your Russian, or which I've made myself. I will also be making my own sentences, which I'll show you. But for now, the ones I have from Boost Your Russian are perfectly fine for now. So, because they use, while some of the vocabulary overlaps between the textbooks themselves and between the textbooks and the sentences, there's always some of the vocabulary is different in each of them. So it gives you exposure to a wider range of vocabulary. That's one of the reasons I use multiple resources. I want a wider exposure to vocabulary in particular. You also get some wider exposure to grammatical structures because different textbooks will introduce certain structures at different times. So in one book, it might be introduced in an earlier chapter, in another book in a later chapter. And you might not get it in one book, you might not really understand it, but when you see it in the other book, maybe it'll click at that point. That's one of the reasons I have multiple resources. On the other hand, don't be like me and buy like 50 different textbooks, which I've probably shown you before in my bookcase. It's ridiculous. That's not necessary and can be a hindrance if you start going through all of them. 2, maximum 3 is enough, at the most. In any case, so how to learn the vocabulary? Well, most people on YouTube, they recommend using something called Anki, and this is basically it's a flashcard system, but without physical flashcards. It's a flashcard system where in a computer program, which you can also access on your phone. I've never been a big user of Anki. I may well use it for this as another adjunct or another tool for learning vocabulary. So far my vocabulary learning's been going okay, but I can see that I'm reaching a point where I'm going to have to give it an extra boost, and I think I will have to do something like Anki. Typically when I've learned things in the past, like when I was much younger, I just relied on brute force. Just raw memory. I had a very good memory when I was younger. Now, not so much. I'm much older now. It's definitely not as good as it used to be. So, I think any tool which can help your memory, like Anki, which is not just flashcards, but it's spaced repetition. So it shows you a flashcard. You either know it or you don't. And if you know it perfectly, you know it well. You don't need a reminder. You just say, fine, it's good. I don't need to see it again for 6 months. If you don't know it at all, you say, I don't know this, I need to see it again in 1 minute. And there's like 3 or 4 different levels of that. And then the computer algorithm will show you the cards again when it thinks when it thinks you're about to forget it. That's the clever thing. So it's an optimized flashcard system. Again, I don't have much experience at all with Anki, but I probably will give it a try in this case as an additional tool. In previous, like I said, when I was younger, I've relied just more on brute force memory. Another way to remember vocabulary is through mnemonics, mnemonic association. So creating mnemonic associations for words, and that absolutely works. Now, I haven't got much experience with it. I do it sometimes. Sometimes I think of a mnemonic automatically. Like a few days ago, I thought of one. I came across the word for oak tree in Russian. I don't know why, but it's dup. dupe. And I immediately thought of a dupe, you know, a guy, kind of a hapless guy, a patsy sort of thing, standing there looking like an oak tree, just standing straight with leaves growing out of his head. And that has stayed with me, you know. God knows when I'll ever need to use the word oak tree when I visit Russia and talk to people. But it shows you that mnemonics can work. Now, for longer words, I don't know how well it's going to work. The idea with the mnemonic is you see a Russian word like dup, and you try to think of something in English that sounds like that word. So for that one, it was easy. I thought of the word dupe, a guy who's, like I said, like a patsy. Excuse me. And then you create an image between the sound, the Russian sound, you know, the sound of the Russian word, and the image from your native language, dupe in this case, and you, like I said, you create an image using those two elements. And the wackier and wilder and, you know, more outlandish, more obscene even the image is, the more likely you're going to remember it. That's the idea behind mnemonics, that your visual memory is much more powerful than just your reading memory. You know, your visual imagination, you'll remember something you imagine in your mind, you visualize, much more than you'll just remember reading on a page, oh, dupe, oak tree, dupe, oak tree. Yeah. And it works, it absolutely works, if you can create a solid association. That's the key. It's not always easy. So if you come up against a longer word, like say, I don't know, you know, хорошо, maybe that's not such a good one. Хорошо, that's such a common word in Russian that you're going to remember it anyway. It means, you know, fine or well, great. That one. Some of the more common, the super common words, you probably don't even need to try to remember them. You're going to come across them so much. But say you've got a list of new verbs, for example. What's one I came across recently? Жить, for example, to live. Okay, and for some reason you keep forgetting it. You know, it comes up in your sentences or it comes up in your textbook exercises, and you keep forgetting. It's жить, to live. Я живу. Они живут. Он живет. Она живет. Okay, ты живешь. But you keep forgetting. Well, you could try to create a mnemonic in that case. If I had to create a mnemonic for жить, please be kind on my pronunciation, still learning. What would I, so like, it sounds a bit like G, okay, it means to live. G, like, you know, a G-man, for example, a G-man, like that's an old-fashioned American term for an FBI agent, very old-fashioned. Like from the 40s or 50s or something. G-man, you know, G-man's just trying to live, the bad guys are chasing him, or something like that. All he wants to do is live, and you create this image in your mind of like from a film noir from the 1930s or 1940s of an FBI agent, and he's trying to live, the gangsters are chasing after him with old-style Thompson machine guns, or something like that. Жить. So G-man doesn't really sound like жить exactly, but it's amazing how that can trigger an association. I'll probably remember it now anyway, even though I don't need to. So that's the idea. Or say, I don't know, let's think of something. I should have brought some list of words here. You know, kniga. Kniga is a book. It's a very common word. Like, I just remembered it because I've seen it so often in all the textbooks I've looked at. It's introduced very quickly. But again, say you keep forgetting the word kniga. Kni. Well, kni doesn't really sound like anything. It kind of looks like the word knee, though, in English. So imagine you're pronouncing the word knee like it's written, kni. Kniga, yeah. So you've got this book, you know, you could create this weird image of a kni, of a knee. You look down at your kni, but it has a cover, like it has pages. Your kni has pages. You can read through your kni. It's very strange. And there's another kni on the other leg. You know, kind of a weird thing like that. That could work, maybe. Give it a try if you're having trouble with that word. But that's the basic idea behind creating mnemonic associations. So I'm trying to do more of that. For longer words, we'll see. There's a lot of long words in Russian. And so with the longer words, it's harder to find, with a short word, it's easier to find a word in English which has a similar sound. With the longer words, you might have to come up with a few words and string those together. I'll probably do another video about this later to let you know how it's working for me. Anyway, that's the idea. So I like to overlap these different methods. There are people out there who claim that they can learn 50 or 100 words a day using mnemonics, and I don't doubt them, but that's a lot, and you're going to have to make some very, very solid mnemonic associations to do that. So I would be happy at this stage just to do 10, especially if there were 10 useful, sort of 10 useful verbs, for example. Verbs are very good to learn. Verbs are really, I would consider, the backbone of the vocabulary you need to learn. Yeah, you need to learn basic nouns, all the nouns in the world around you, the typical things you find in a house, whatever a kid would know. A kid would know all the basics of a home, the basics of his family, the basics of his school, desk, chair, teacher, at home, bathroom, bedroom, beds, table, mommy, daddy, all these things, cat, dog, the basics of life. You need to know all those for sure. And of course you need to know more adult words like, the basics of a house, of a car, of a road, of stores, things you have to do in everyday life. So that as you build up this bank of words, you can say things, you can express ideas that any normal functioning adult would be able to express. Anyway, so yeah, for me it's a combination just of seeing these words over and over, of hearing and seeing them, in textbooks over and over, hearing and seeing them in the sentences that I listen to every day over and over, because I don't just listen to those sentences once, I listen to them repeatedly. Yeah. And then, especially for ones giving me problems, using mnemonic associations to help remember them. And then hopefully when I hear them again in the sentences or see those words again in books, the mnemonic association will kick in and I'll remember it. So that's my take on vocabulary, and I hope you're doing well. Today is currently day, what was it? 15, 16, 17. Today is day 18 of the 100-day Russian challenge. And I'm thinking on day 30, so after roughly a month, day 30, I'm going to do a video where I speak. I don't think I'll speak, it won't be like free speech, it'll be like just me reading a prepared text, just so you can hear how I'm sounding. I'll do another one on day 60, and that one will probably also be a prepared text, but also with some more, hopefully I'll be able at that point to do some free speaking about certain things. And then, of course, at day 90, when my goal is to have an actual conversation with a Russian speaker, 20-minute conversation. We'll see how that goes. At this stage, from the vantage point of day 18, I can't imagine it, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, talk to you later.